What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Nerdy Mark channel. I'm Sid the Nerdy Mark, and today I have this year's very first NXT and 205 Live review. So let's jump right into this. NXT began with Johnny Gargano, aka Johnny Wrestling, coming out into the ring, wishing the NXT Universe a happy new year and whatnot. To show, hey, I'm still the good guy. He, of course, talks about how 2018 was a lot of ups and downs for him, but he realized that in NXT, it's all about wins and titles. So now he's coming after titles. He wants a title around his waist. And he mentions Tommaso Ciampa. He says, despite what happened, DIY is definitely not happening, aka it is happening. He says that he's still a piece of trash with a title around his waist and that he wants that title, but he then changes his focus onto the North American champion, Ricochet, saying that he's going to take the title away from him. And Ricochet comes out and says, look, all you had to do was ask. Tommaso Ciampa interrupts. He says, Johnny, don't forget, the title, whatnot, and he holds up the NXT title. First time we've actually seen the North American champion and the NXT champion interact in the same vicinity. That was pretty cool. Shortly after, Aleister Black appears on the Titantron, says that Tommaso needs to take his focus off of Johnny Gargano, his war dog or whatever, and he needs to focus on him because he will make him fade to black. Ciampa clutches Goldie really tight, but behind him is Aleister Black, and a chase ensues between Ciampa and Black. Johnny Gargano super kick parties the crap out of Ricochet, who later on does say that he wants Johnny Gargano at TakeOver Phoenix. So it looks like we are going to get Johnny Wrestling versus Ricochet at Phoenix. This should be a really good match. Up next, we do have Bianca BelAir taking on Nikki Cross for a third time, because the first time ended in a DQ and the second time was interrupted by Aleister Black, the aforementioned Aleister Black, that is. Now we have Part 3. So this was, of course, another really good match. A lot of cool spots here, including a really cool part where, both women were outside and the referee counted to 9, but they all both came in at the same time. That's always cool. I always love seeing that. Nikki Cross climbed on top of Bianca BelAir, much like how she did on the previous two matches, and of course Bianca BelAir hit a torture rack onto Nikki Cross. That was cool. Even Nikki Cross did try to end this match a little early by hitting the purge onto BelAir, who of course quickly slipped out of the ring. That's when we had the whole her climbing on BelAir's back, and then BelAir slamming her onto the steel post, which looked painful. The match ended when, of course, Nikki Cross goes for a high-flying move, but Bianca quickly gets out of the way, hits her KOD finisher to win the match, and of course, this is going to give her momentum for her match at TakeOver Phoenix against Shayna Baszler for the NXT Women's Championship. So this should be a really good match as well, so I'm really looking forward to the women's title match as well. We now have Fabian Aichner and Marcel Barthel teaming up to take on a couple of local talent, and this is pretty interesting. Marcel Barthel and Fabian Aichner are both gonna also be prominent figures in NXT UK, which, by the way, TakeOver Blackpool happens this Saturday, and I will be live tweeting during that time and possibly have a review either as a live stream or an Instagram review. I don't know yet, but I do want to cover TakeOver Blackpool. However, Fabian Aichner and Marcel Barthel, like I said, they are a tag team now. Their new theme music is very reminiscent of European nu metal, so I guess it makes sense. I'm just wondering, because obviously Marcel Barthel's Ring Kampf partner Walter also has been apparently signed to WWE. I'm wondering if Aichner, Barthel, and Walter are going to be a faction in NXT UK, because it's like a Ring Kampf 2.0. Who knows? Either way, they do make pretty short work after a pretty decent match between Barthel and Aichner and these local talent. So this was a good match, but again, I did want to take this moment to talk about TakeOver Blackpool and the possibility of Walter being involved in this tag team to make it a faction. So we'll see what happens. I might have to start checking out NXT UK from now on. How I'm going to cover it, I don't know yet, but I will find a way. And finally, we do have our main event. We do have EC3, the top 1%, taking on Adam Cole, baby, in a mighty fine match. This was really entertaining and a lot of fun. Of course, Undisputed Era up to their old tricks again, trying to distract EC3 to help their buddy Adam Cole get the advantage. And of course, it was announced earlier on by William Regal via Twitter that Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly will defend the NXT Tag Team titles against the War Raiders at TakeOver Phoenix. So anyway, pretty standard stuff here. Both guys showboating and trying to hit their special moves and whatnot. The match ended with EC3 finally getting distracted by the Undisputed Era, and then Adam Cole hitting a super kick and hitting EC3 with his exposed knee, and to win the match. And afterwards, of course, we have a post-match beatdown. The Undisputed Era beat up on EC3, who comes to the rescue, but of course, their opponents at TakeOver Phoenix, the War Raiders, they come out and they stand tall, they look good, and whatnot. So I'm excited for this match as well. TakeOver Phoenix's card is starting to shape up really nicely. So this is going to be awesome. So I can't wait for NXT TakeOver Phoenix. That's going to be good stuff. That's, of course, right before the Royal Rumble. So yeah, that's going to be fantastic. But for now, let's move on to 205 Live. 205 Live started off with Noam Dar, the Scottish Supernova, taking on the premier athlete Tony Nese once again, because of course Noam Dar did lose to Nese because of Buddy Murphy's distraction. So this time Nese is like, okay, well, no excuses. I'm going to come out there without Buddy Murphy. So this was a fantastic match. Again, Tony Nese continues to impress me because, like I said, a guy with those big, huge muscles still being able to move like that and be so, fluid in the ring is just amazing. He really is the premier athlete. So I really liked it. I thought this was good stuff all around. But the match did, of course, end when Noam Dar did get the upset win over Tony Nese, when Nese hit a power slam or some variant of a power slam and tried to showboat for a little bit and tried to inflict more pain. But of course, Noam Dar was waiting in the trenches, I guess, and got the roll up on Tony Nese for, like I said, the upset victory. So great match all around. Noam Dar continues to impress me. Tony Nese, of course, continues to impress me. So yeah, that's all I gotta say. So before we get to the main event match, there were a couple of segments that I did want to talk about. First things first, we did have the Brian Kendrick reading a letter from Akira Tozawa, and talking about his match at the Royal Rumble, the Fatal 4-Way at the Royal Rumble for the Cruiserweight Championship with Buddy Murphy, Akira Tozawa, Kalisto, and one more person, which we will talk about because that's the main event. Brian Kendrick says he's going to assure that Tozawa wins the Cruiserweight title, so we'll see about that. We did have Drake Maverick talking to the Submission Commission, Gulak and Gallagher, and they basically give him a couple of binders telling him to look through those pictures to potentially hire some new talent to the 205 Live roster. So that was pretty interesting, that we might be getting some new faces, fresh new faces for 205 Live. I'd be very interested to see that. Then, of course, he's interrupted by Maria and Mike Kanellis. I'm not going to make the Neville joke anymore because, first of all, new year, new jokes. And also, Neville, well, formerly Neville, now Pac, or Pac, however you say it, is signed with All Elite Wrestling. So I want to, I just don't want to make this joke anymore. So, anyway, so the Neville Mike Kanellis joke is dead. We're going to have new jokes now. So anyway, Mike Kanellis and Maria Kanellis come in. They complain that Mike hasn't had a match in 5 weeks. That's kind of it. They just kind of complain. So we'll see. Maybe next week we're going to get Mike Kanellis is going to get a match. And finally, our main event. We have Hideo Itami taking on Cedric Alexander to secure the 4th and final spot in the Cruiserweight Fatal 4-Way match for the Royal Rumble. And this was a mighty fine match because Cedric Alexander was able to really hold his own against Hideo Itami. Despite some of the distractions by Ariel Daivari, he was still able to keep up with the veteran striker. It was really good. I really recommend you guys go watch this match. It It was fantastic. And that's one thing I love about 205 Live. They are putting out classics every single week, in my opinion. This just continues to exemplify that this is a great product. So again, if you're not watching 205 Live, you need to get on. We did have a spot where Hideo Itami looked a mean-looking Falcon Arrow on the apron to Cedric Alexander. That was some crazy stuff. We had Cedric Alexander doing his flip and hitting a drop kick onto Hideo Itami. Great, fantastic stuff here. I just love the interaction between these two. These two have such good chemistry in the ring. Part of the match did end when Itami did hit his finisher, which I forget what it's called since he doesn't use the GTS anymore. So yeah, he hits his finisher to Cedric Alexander and he wins. So he is the fourth and final entrant in the Fatal 4-Way match for the Cruiserweight Championship. So that's going to be awesome. Honestly, I would love to see Itami get the title. Like, that would be really, really cool. I think, that would really elevate his stock, and especially because, 2019, new management, whatnot. I think that someone like him deserves the title. I personally thought it should have been Leo Rush. If he won that match against Kalisto, I would have gone for Leo Rush. But I'm glad I'm okay with Itami, so I'm actually rooting for Itami. That would be really awesome, but they're gonna give it to Kalisto, aren't they? I know it. They are either Kalisto or Tozawa. They're gonna give it to one of them. But yeah, hey, we'll see. In 2 more weeks, I think, or 3 more weeks, I think. Buddy Murphy ended out 205 Live by issuing an open challenge to anyone who was billed at 205 pounds. So we'll see next week who answers Buddy Murphy's open challenge. Not for the title, just as a regular old match. So that should be cool. So overall, I thought both shows were pretty decent this week. I would say 205 Live was a little bit better this week just because of the Hideo Itami Cedric Alexander match. Matches of the night for me on NXT, I'm going to give it to the ladies this week. Bianca BelAir versus Nikki Cross Part 3. This was a really good match. I really, really enjoyed it. There was no interference, no nothing. It was just 2 women in a pure wrestling match. So I really enjoyed it. 205 Live, obviously I mentioned it. Hideo Itami versus Cedric Alexander. Fantastic match. Again, go check this match out. So that pretty much concludes my first review of NXT and 205 Live this year. Let me know what you guys thought about this show, both of these shows, in the comment section below. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on social media and tell your friends about the Nerdy Mark. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for your continued support. And until next time, this is Sid signing off. You guys take care. Bye-bye.